Hello everyone and welcome to the beautiful Birch House Lakes on the Dove Lake, my favourite lake on the complex. It's flipping amazing. And we're going to be going through some method feeder fishing today. So a few little quick tips and what have you, where you start off, where you end up. The wind is a nightmare, it's proper blustery, so what to do in that situation, you know, using lighter feeders and what you should be able to get away with just because of the noise factor and that. So without further ado, let's go over on the box. I'll talk you through my setup and let's go and catch some fishies. That's like 10 out of 10, but the other way around as well, Jamie. Get in on that, mate. Absolute perfect presentation right there, folks. So he's probably been on about half an hour, folks. Brilliant for drawing fishing, but probably the worst bait in the world for getting too many fish in your peg. Waiting for that bite. He's on. Yeah, he's on. If you're not getting bites, obviously you might want to cast a little bit more frequent to draw some fish in, but your first 2 or 3 casts within 3 minutes and then it'll go to 5 minutes. Right then, let's have a look at that setup. And as I mentioned in the intro, it's such an easy way of fishing this, folks. It's so versatile, especially on windy days. Obviously I reference that as well. It's flipping, it's getting up today. It's lovely fishing weather, don't get me wrong. It's a nice sort of south-southwesterly wind, so the fish will be feeding. But the beauty of the method is I can chuck it to the far bank, I can underarm it down the edge, I can fish it down the middle of the lake. You know, there's bars down the middle of this lake, so I can chuck on top of them and everything. That's where the fish are going to be, in that shallower water. But first things first, let us have a look at the setup, and it doesn't get any easier than this, folks. Really, really simple. First thing to consider is your rod choice. Now, across there, it's probably, I'm gonna say it's like 30 meters. Ideally, certainly with the wind, you want like a 10-foot rod. 11 foot would 100% do the job, but 10 foot is just a nice sort of like length rod to get that distance, if you like. If you're going past 40 meters, I'd say that's when you need to get onto 11 foot. But up to 30 meters, 10 foot's bang on. 9 foot would probably reach it, but you'd be struggling a little bit, so 10 foot's about right. Reel size, 4,000 size reel, loaded with 6 or 8 pound, a decent quality sinking line, which we've got sinking feeder mono on. It's brilliant stuff, nice and robust, never lets you down, it sinks like an absolute brick, so absolutely bang on. And then the next thing is this setup here, so let me unhook that. I'll bring that round here so I can show you this. So our ICS feeders, interchangeable system, really, really easy. Now I've gone for a 20 gram method to start with. Reason for that is the wind's slightly off my back. Now, obviously, yeah, I'm convinced the fish are going to have it. That wind's pushing over to that bank. It's going to stir, obviously, all the food particles up there. The fish will be coming into it. I've gone for a 20 because I can get there nice and easy with it. And I don't want to make us... We're going to make, obviously, disturbance, but just the pure fact that we're casting a blooming feeder in, but I don't want it to like flood into the water. Obviously, when I'm hitting the clip, I want it to just feather in nice, so I'm getting a nice plop. Now, obviously, with a 20 gram, that's better than what a 30 gram would be. However, what I do know on here from fishing it previously is the slope is quite steep. So it might be if my tip's coming back by fish nudging it, or the wind could be disrupting what's going on underneath the water, that feeder might be just coming back down the ledge a little bit. So 100% I'll go to a heavier feeder. 30 gram would be next, possibly a 40 gram. When you get a few fish feeding, you know, don't overly worry about the noise and that. But to start off with, as I say, it's like early to mid-spring now. Where are we? Sort of like middle of April. The fish are feeding, they're not going to really get spooked, but I always like to start off a little bit, you know what I mean, before you go all guns blazing. So that's what we've got on, 20 gram feeder, and we've got one of these. I always forget what the blooming called, so I've got them here. I showed the wrong packet in one video, so I do apologise for that. It is an ICS inline 360 bead. That's what we've got on. I've not been using these long, folks. I can't remember who put me onto them, but flipping it, they're amazing. Obviously, the other ones are really good. The ones that you just open the grommet up, put your hook length on, but these, your hook length, well, that's like 360, and that's why they call that. But really, really clever. To get that out, all you do is put a baiting needle in that, pull it out, then you can get your hook length on, but really, really secure and stable. And then hook length-wise, it's basically what I'll be fishing for, you know, hard pellets this time of year. We've just got a 0.14 4-inch AccuPower to a size 16 GPMB hook with a little babby band on, and then we're just going to be putting like the micro bandums on that. You could change, you know, if it's, there's lots of F1s in here, lots of carp, lots of everything. It's flipping amazing. You know how much I love Birch House, folks. it depends what we're catching. If it's more carp, then 100% I'll go a little bit heavier to like a 16s or even a 14s KKH and put like a spike on maybe or something like that, or a slightly bigger bandum wafter. But starting off wise, again, I don't know what the response is going to be. We're hoping it's going to be good, but it's just feeling your way into a session rather than going all guns blazing. So that's the setup. Next, I want to show you the bait, which is really, really easy, really simple. I've got my micros in there. 2mm Thin Perfect micros, soaked for 50 seconds. Drain the water off, put them into a big bowl and just leave them like that, and that's what you'll get. They'll bind lovely. But I've also got, which I flipping love using this time of year, is my ground bait done up. Now, obviously, you know how much I love like Power Scopex and things like that. Mega Carp Method Mix, I think, is my new favourite, folks, because it's got them big particles in. It's got like 2mm, 3mm, 4mm pellets in. So again, similar with this, with it being Super Crush range, it's 2 full tubs of pint, two full pint tubs. Let me get this out. So it's 2 full ones of them, and then a full one of water. Put it into a bucket, mix it all around, leave that, and then that's good to go in sort of 20 minutes. Put it through a riddle, and that's what you get. You get the best ground bait ever. And, you know, just alternate between the two. There'll be some venues where ground bait's better. There'll be other venues where pellets are better, you know, micros. It all depends what's happening underneath the water. If you find you're getting loads of little taps and stuff like that, then I would say cut out the micros and go more ground bait, because the micros are just attracting too many fish into your peg. But always start off with micros, you know, get a little bit of bait in. So that's my ground bait, perfect edge mix as well, that one. And then baits wise, we've just got some micro bandum wafters. We've got the krill and squid, and just got the fluoro ones there. So, you know, a bit of a mixture. Then my 3 favourite colours in a one are right there, folks. You know how much I love a pink, an orange and a yellow. I've been starting off on pinks lately. Normally it's a yellow I'd start off on, but I've been starting off on pink. So that's what I'll be going on the band. And that's it. Really, really simple. There's a few different ways of loading the method up. Obviously, we'll go through that. You can, the fish are having it quick. I'll put my hook bait in first and my bait on top. Cast it in so your bait's visible, first things first. But starting off with, I'll put a little layer in, my hook bait over the top, another little layer, give it a big squeeze, and then chuck it in. So I think without further ado, we need to go and catch some fishes. Yeah, let's get on it, folks. Come on. Right, here we go then, folks. So I'll just get that method out, tangle out, and it's straight on with, I'm going pink, folks. Got to go pink. Makes them fishes wink, so we're going with pink. So straight on with a pink micro bandum. I say it's one of them this time of year. Obviously, there's a lot of F1s in here. I know there's a lot of F1s in, but there's also a lot of carp. If it's more carp, I'd go straight into a bigger bait, like a 6 or an 8mm, slightly bigger bandum wafter, or I'd go for a spikem, you know, special spikem, folks. Get on the specials. Right, so loading it up wise, remember, always start off with micros. So a little babby layer in first, and then my hook bait over the top, more micros on top of that, and then big press. Yeah! Don't matter how hard you press them, always break out, and that's what we're left with. So a nice little neat pile. And then it's just a case of, obviously, before we start, get your distance first. Oh, perfect. And then what I want to do, with it being a bit windy, I know it's slightly off my back, but I do want to sink that line. I don't want to just leave it because I'll get too much of a bow in my line. There you go, it's sunk now, nice and quick. Doesn't take long at all. And then it's a case of, remember, 3-minute casts. I love a 3-minute cast. So start my stopwatch, and we're just giving it that 3 minutes. Hopefully it won't take us too long to get a bite, but 3-minute casts, and then see what's happening from there. So if you're not getting bites, obviously you might want to cast a little bit more frequent to draw some fish in, but your first 2 or 3 casts within 3 minutes, and then it'll go to 5 minutes. Most of your fish usually come, so if it's F1s in a venue, they tend to come within sort of 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to say that. Sometimes it'll be like straight away, and that's all about working out when you're getting these bites. So if I did get them really quick and there were fish, like my tip was like twitching all the time, then what I do is I put me, as I said, my hook bait in first, bait over the top, and then cast in, so it's the first thing they see. So not going to leave it too long. It's one of them on venues like this, obviously the wind pushing over there, with it being a warm wind, I'm sure the fish will be over there. I'm convinced it will be. Oh, so we had a little sign then. So it's things like that. Obviously, you know there's a fish coming to your peg. If I was getting that a lot and then it got completely slack as that feeder's rolling down the slope, then I'd possibly change to a heavier feeder. And you'll see where I'm casting as well, I'm not going right tight. It's obviously, it mimics this peg over here. So this is what I'm casting to. I'm probably casting about probably 1.5 meters, 2 meters off the far bank of the peg, where we've got sort of, I'm going to say 3 foot, something like that. I don't want to go right tight to the bank to start with. It might be where the fish end up. You know, they might end up in sort of 14 inches of water, but give yourself that option. Don't just go all guns blazing. If it was warmer, it might be somewhere you went, but it's one of them. Let the fish sort of tell you where they want to be, if that makes sense. So we've had one little twitch so far in it, and we are coming up to 2 minutes. Oh, another little twitch then. So if we get to 3 minutes and I'm still getting them like little babby liners and what have you, then I'd probably just leave it that little bit longer. You know what I mean? I don't, because I know there'll be a fish around there. I don't want to bring it back and risk spooking a fish. Definitely don't want to be doing that. But it's just obviously starting off wise, if you have got like an island to cast to, then always exploit that sort of far bank first. You know, certainly if you're in a pleasure session, obviously you've got your margins and all that. If there's not as many people on the lake, oh, is he on? You don't have to go over there. No, he's not on. See what I mean about that? Just knocking down a little bit. I mean, it's probably only moved like half an inch, something like that. Yeah, but if you're in a match, obviously you'd have your other swims on the go, your pole swims and that. Always start off away from him and then work your way back. It's always better doing it like that. So we're coming up to 3 minutes now. We have probably like 3 little touches and nothing. So if I was getting like touches now, we're coming up to 3 minutes, then I wouldn't bring it back. But we're not doing, so I'm going to bring that back and get some more bait in. Got to keep that bait going in your first sort of 2 or 3 casts, I'm going to say, folks. Otherwise, you're just not going to attract them fish into your peg. So I'm going to go with micros again. Once I like get an idea of what's going on, you know, in my swim, that's when I can work out whether micros are best or ground bait's best, or half and half can be really good as well. You know, a little tiny bit of micros mixed in with your ground bait can be really good. There we go, tiny little plop. We're getting like a counter, just about 1. So it's probably about 3 foot there. But you see, I'm not going right tight to the bank. And obviously when I've casted, bring that rod straight back, hit your clip and then feather it in. Lower your rod with your feeder. There we go, he's in. I would say some of the bites that you get, that's why I've got these gripperoos. They're flipping amazing. Your rod ain't going anywhere in them, folks, so make sure you have one of them. Oh, is he in it back a little bit then? You will get, obviously, because the fish can't really go that way, so you will get drop backs occasionally as well. Start that again. Perfect. Go on, fishies. It's just nipping back a little bit there. Is there something there? No. Nope. It's just a case of just waiting for that bite. Oh, he's on. Yeah, he's on. So that didn't take long. So second choke, and we are on 20 seconds. Now, I've got to keep my rod high here, folks. Normally, I'd always say play them low, but I've got to keep it high simply because there's a flipping bar down the middle. There's like channels, there's like lumps sort of like 4 or 5 meters wide with like 2 foot channels in them. Is that this side of the bar now? Yeah, I think it's this side of the bar now. So we can play it nice and low now. So F1, I'm going to say F1. Probably be wrong and it'll be a blooming common. But I'm getting it in now, folks. They're like the angriest fish in the world. All the lakes here at Birchhouse, they're so flipping angry. So if it takes me like half an hour to get it in, and it's only £1.50, yeah, I've got it in. I've said it. No, it's going to be an F1. It's got to be an F1. Go on. Is it an F1? It's not an F1, is it? It's not an F1, is it? Yeah, it's an F1. But it just shows you how quick it is. Yeah, as long as you're getting that little plop right, you're hitting your clip right, but more importantly, you're putting that bait in. I could have just left that and then nothing had happened, but obviously 20-second cast and we got that fish, and it just shows that they are coming to bait. So you see, I do like back winding, but obviously I've got my drag set right as well. I'm not fishing overly heavy hook length, you know, it's only a 0.14, but that we can change that, you know, it doesn't matter. I just want to, obviously with F1s in, I just want to give myself the best chance. If it is more carp we're catching, then obviously I'll change. It is an F1. I told you, look at the size of it and look how it's fighting. It's just ridiculous, you know. Oh, is that a comment? No, it's an F1. Look at the state of them though. They're like the most stunning fish you've ever seen. Now, you'd think they'd only just been put in, but they haven't. They've been in blooming years. They just get left to look at them. Absolutely beautiful F1. Probably getting on for £2. Absolute stunning little thing. So he goes back in. He's big on me blooming bait as well. And look, we're on 2 minutes, coming up to 2 minutes 20 now. That took it on 20 seconds. So let's have another one of them. Now, I know that obviously that fish got rid of that bait, but I probably would change the bait anyway. I'm not one for leaving my bait on. You know, I like to change it. So put a new bait on. I've got my micros in. Always make sure you put the little layer in first, just then it's that little bit quicker. Certainly in match conditions, I'll always put my little half layer in first, and all I've got to do is put my hook bait over the top, and then the other layer of micros on the top of that as well. Oh, perfect. It's going in lovely, that. As I say, if you can get away with a lighter feeder, I always find it better, unless, you know, you get in trouble with hooking the fish, because sometimes your feeder might be a little bit too light. But obviously with this wind, it's perfect, that. Get that in place and set that again. So doink, doink, doink. There we go. He's ready. So we had something on that straight away then. Go ahead. We had a little line on that straight away. And it's just a case of, like, obviously building your swim up like that. If you find you're getting lots of little taps, that's usually down to the micros bringing too many sort of like wrong fishing or too many fishing. Look at that tip go now. Look at it. Is he on? Is he on? Is he on? Yeah, he's on. I think it's a small fish, though. No. So that was a small fish. And that's what I mean about the micros. That was a small fish, just tapping that feeder and just bringing it back down that slope. And that was on sort of 30 seconds. I reckon that was a skim. I'm just going to go one more. See, this is what I mean about having them micros ready. Yeah? So I've got half of it loaded, and then just a little bit quicker. All I've got to do is put my hook bait on top, put my micros on top of that. Yep. Give it a big press, and away we go. So if I get some little taps again and we don't make contact, then what I'm going to do is change to ground bait. Because, as I said, the micros can, it's just like pole fishing. You know, when you get flipping loads of fish, certainly when you're fishing the margins or whatever, micros is probably one of the worst baits in the world. Brilliant for drawing fishing, but probably the worst bait in the world for getting too many fish in your peg. Look at that already. Dunk, dunk. We're not even tightening up there. On it straight away, so I'm definitely going to go ground bait next. If that's small fish, we'll give it a go. And that's the beauty of that method mix. It has got the bigger particles in, so I'll just put that in there. Then bigger, like, pellety particles in. Go on, get round. So it's just, all that's doing now is just creeping down that slope. So that might be a reason that I need to put, you know, a slightly heavier feeder on as well, like a 30 gram, just so it holds on that slope a little bit. I don't mind it just coming down a little bit like that, but if it was like I couldn't tighten up or anything, then obviously that's telling you that, you know, it's coming right down that slope. Is he on? What are we on now? 30 seconds. I don't know if he's on or not. Might be on him, you know. That's coming right down that slope, isn't it? It might be on him. Yeah, he's on. So he's probably been on about half an hour, folks. Yeah, I think that's a bit bigger fish again. Obviously, you'd never ever keep your rod eye like this. Always keep it nice and low, but I just want to bring it over that, sort of through them bars, if you like. You've been on a while, him. Just shows you how flipping effective it is, all, doesn't it? And then we can keep it low. So good, isn't it, folks? So good. I think it might be another F1, that. It's going to fight in a minute. Bring it round this way so Jamie can see. You will get some big poppadoms as well on this fishing like this. That's not a poppadom, little baby for one, little baby for one. So I'm just going to change. We're going to have another chuck, even though, like, obviously there's not really that much more to go through, folks. But I just want to show you the difference of putting slightly heavier feeder on. Look at him, absolutely immaculate. That's like 10 out of 10, but the other way around as well, Jamie. Get in on that, mate. Look at the state of that. Absolute perfect presentation right there, folks. So another beautiful F1. So what I'm going to do, just while we're going, and there's a few fish there, I'm going to change that feeder. So we've got a 20 gram one on, but you saw like the second chuck, no, was it third chuck, the one that we missed, it was like just creeping back. Obviously it could have been F1s nudging the feeder, but that's what I mean about fishing on a slope and that. You've got to be really careful. And obviously, well, that that would have just been on the wild, hadn't it, that one? But I was tightening up and like, it's probably still feeding on my bait, that's plumbing why. So we've got to 30 gram on there. That's the beauty of our system, yeah? Nice and quick, changing the oneer. Get another bait on. Like so, and I'm gonna go with ground bait this time. A few in there. Ground bait over the top. Perfect. Give it a nice press down. Yeah? So you can see that nice and solid on that feeder. It's going to take that a little bit longer to break down. Oh, it just goes in a little bit heavier, that. But if there's fish there, don't let it bother you. Yeah, them fish will come to that noise. Completely different noise to a blooming, obviously a 20 gram feeder with micros on. It's a bit lighter, but I can't see it making a difference. But this, I just want to show you the difference, how that feeder's going to hold, how that feeder's going to hold on that slope. And that's what we're looking for. If it's really steep, I mean, it might be that you go to some venues where it's really steep, you might have to put like a 45 gram on, even casting this kind of distances. Other times it might be a compromise, you know, if you're finding they are spooking off that noise, then, you know, just try and get away with a lighter one as much as you can, kind of thing. But you can see the difference already. We've had a couple of little taps, but it's staying there. Yeah, absolutely perfect, that. And it's a case of just waiting. I think on a lighter feeder, that probably would have gone by now with how many were there. But I wanted to show the, obviously, how it just stays on that slope. Go on, oh. See what I mean? We had them little tap, but it stayed there. Whereas on a lighter feeder, that tip would have come back. It would have just gone down the slope a little bit. Might have been a small fish, that. We ain't going to catch small fish, are we? We're just going to catch F1s. Come on, the F1s. Or carps. Go on. Go on. What are we on? Oh. Is he on? You see the difference this time? I can just tighten that a little bit and he's there already. Whereas before, just coming down a little bit more. Definitely taking a little bit longer with a slightly heavier feeder. But once you get used to that, obviously that noise going in, that kind of thing. Oh. I'm going to say usually that you get that quick knock like that when a fish is like, add your bait and just give it one of them. Could have done with that, you know. But we'll leave it. Come on, let's get one. What we got, 1 minute 50. Now bearing in mind them two fish we've had have been flipping out well under a minute, so if there's more F1s in, I would say regular casting, so don't leave it much past 3 minutes. Really keep an eye on it, and that's what I'm going to do. Be a bit more patient for carp, but with F1s, you need to cast a little bit more frequent. So it's coming back ever so gently, that. Is he on? I think I keep getting done. With a heavier feeder, is he on? Is he on? No. With a heavier feeder, he might be on. Yeah, he's on. I think it's a small fish. Yeah, little babby fish. So if you're getting, obviously, lots of little tiny fish again, that's where regular feeding comes in. Yeah? We know there's a lot of fish over there, so I'm not going to probably go more than 3 minutes without a cast. That's what we're looking at. Poppadom. Go on the poppadoms. You don't mind catching them, though, do you? Don't mind catching poppadoms. But that just shows you the difference. So we knew that fish was on then. We got that little, like, violent head shake. We knew he was on. He's 10 out of 10 again, right in the bottom part of the lip. So it's just one of them. It's just judging what's going on under the water. You've seen the difference then. Still got a bit of ground bait on, so it shows you obviously that bait's being left on all the time. Just shows you the difference with using a lighter feeder to a heavier feeder, and that's what I wanted to get across. If you're having problems with, you know, fish knocking a feeder, pushing it down a slope or anything like that, then that's when you need to change, because obviously you're not getting any hookups and any hook holds or anything like that. So go to a heavier feeder, and then it's sort of almost like a boat rig. The only issue you might have is early sort of season fishing like now, they might be a little bit spooky off that noise if it's just landing a little bit heavy. So play around with it. Other venues you go to, it might not be. Certainly if it's deeper, they won't be bothered at all. So yeah, just have a go with that. But in general, try and get away with this fishing as light as possible. I hope you've enjoyed that, folks, because I have. I'm going to carry on and catch me some more F1s. Hopefully them carps will rock up. But if you've liked what you've seen, please, please, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and that's going to tell you when we're putting out these fantastic videos. Yay! Leave me to it.